Okay. So I will show you how I make a design like this, and we'll continue painting in this paper here. Let's see. Yeah, I will continue making this design so that we'll transfer into a bigger tray. But for now, we'll try to transfer on this one here because this is a tester. And what I'm trying to accomplish here is just wet it a little bit. This is a slip that I covered my design with. So it can't be too dry and it can't be too wet. So it was drying a little too fast here at the edges. So the key is all about timing with this thing. And again, it's not something that I usually do. So what I'm trying to do is test it out, the new slip, which if it works, I will put the recipe for this slip. It was very simple to make, only like four or five things that I had to add together, maybe four. Um, and so I colored the slip like a real light blue, which I don't know if you can tell. Probably because it's still wet, you can't tell the color yet. But we'll see when it's all dry. Just like this tester here, I did have the slip behind as the background. It is a light blue color, but we probably won't show it until it's fired. The clay is called Terra Red. It's a Cone 5 clay, very smooth. Um, I have a bag of that and I decided to just use it because I like the contrast with the red clay, with the white slip and the red clay. So again, this was just a little tester. The idea of transferring your design is, first of all, you're designing it on a flat surface. So you use newsprint um, to put your design, and then you can use underglazes on your design, and then it works. The way it works is you want to first paint whatever is on the foreground. So all your outline, if you're gonna use outlines, has to go first, and you can even use stencil to make your outline. And then you paint it with underglazes, or you can use colored slip. And then the last thing will be putting uh, the color slip over, so it shows that up as a background. So I will turn this over, and this is a fresh slab. I just did it this morning. So I am gonna flip it over like that. And I made it a little bigger, so maybe some of the design will be off of the thing, and that's okay. It cuts off. Um, And so the idea with this is you either can use a sponge, which, oh, here it is, my sponge, and you wet it. So I made like a hibiscus in here with some leaves. And I've been following, I started saying that and I got sidetracked. I started saying that in the beginning. I follow Katie Miller. If you guys follow her on Instagram, it might be Katie Miller Ceramics. I've been following her for a long time. She does this type of work, and she uses this clay in particular, the red clay, and her work is awesome. Uh, so that you guys can check her out. She also does workshops, and I think she might have even like online classes. I've never taken her online classes. I've seen she shows some of her process, but I have taken years and years ago. I took a workshop for transferring clay from somebody else. I can't even remember now who it was, but I know the idea behind this lip transfer. And I know that it's all about timing. You have to have the right uh, time that you can put that over the clay. If it is too dry, it won't transfer as well. If it is too wet, it's going to smear. So you just have to keep on doing this with the rib. I heard the rib is the best thing. She does it with the roller, so I'm going to try the roller just because I think that's what she uses. We'll see. And then as you're pulling your design, you're going to see if it is really transferring. Like some pieces are not. You can push it if you see that the piece is not transferred, and it will go over. So I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me just lower it a little bit. Maybe that's a better angle. Okay, so let's continue. Now her pieces have like little pieces like that doesn't adhere like that. She leaves it like that. She has some pieces that doesn't adhere well and she just leaves it. I think it adds character to the piece, I guess. But I'm trying to make sure it comes off. So if you see one little piece that is not adhering to, you go back. And you continue. Sometimes there is like an air bubble. And that's why it's important to get all those air bubbles from. So what you can see here, I use the blue outline. There's one little piece here that is stubborn. It's almost at the end here. So also, I'm curious if the type of underglaze matters. So that's why on the other tester that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use, this one is all Kiwi underglazes. Actually, I'm gonna go back here. There's a piece missing right here at the edge. There you go. I didn't even see that. So that's what's nice about this process is that you just can keep doing this until all the pieces are attached to your clay. And maybe I needed a little bit more water, but we're almost at the end here. Okay, so you see how everything has come off from the paper. Another thing too that I'm not familiar with, since it's a technique that I don't use, so you guys are learning from an inexperienced person, but I wanted to give you the idea of this is, and we'll talk about more when I'm doing the design. So the newsprint that I'm using, I bought this, gosh, a long time ago when years and years, when I first took that workshop, and it's pretty thick. Now, the videos that I see online, the paper looks a little thinner. So I wonder if I have the right paper, or I was going to Google and see if there is a thin newsprint paper. Some people use newspaper, which that's what this is. It's like a thin, cheap paper. I wonder though if I could use tracing paper. So I'm not sure. Maybe I should try that. So now let's talk about something here. There are little pieces that went over my design here, which could be like a little jewelry dish or something with this. And then I can just press it into a mold to kind of curve the edges up. So I'm just going to go like this with my sponge at the edges just to take off part of the design that it's like an excess of the design that went over, or you can go with your rib and just go like this and take that off. So let's see. And I can't remember what Katie does. Can't remember if she uses a rib because she makes a lot of mugs with this technique. You guys should check her out if you haven't so yet and follow her. I really like her work. Um, so I'm just taking this like that with the rib. Can you guys see okay? Is the lighting good? And I like to expose a little bit of the clay, since it's the red clay. I like to expose that a little bit at the edges because I think it looks, just for contrast, I think it looks good. And then once you bisque this, it goes, all you do is you put clear. Again, Katie uses a clay that is low fire. I mean, a slip that is low fire. I do have her recipe. If you guys want, I can post both on my description, her recipe for the slip that goes up to a cone 1. And then a recipe that I found on glaze.org, which is um, it's a slip that can be taken all the way to cone 12. It has a real big range in temperature that you can use this slip. So if it works out, I think I might even be adopting some of these this technique because it's very satisfying. It's kind of like my cuerda seca. It's so satisfying, that technique, and I think that's why a lot of people love that. I'm just cleaning the edges here. Oh, there's a little piece here that came off. Oh, and there is another piece here sticking out. So that's just the excess of slip that went over the edge. So you see how, let's see, if these little pieces bother you, you can always paint it over again with the underglaze to kind of hide it. I kind of like it, which is like Katie Miller's work. She leaves little pieces like that exposed, and I think it adds to the character. Uh, so this is one design. And I kind of like the blue outline. It doesn't always have to be black outlines, you know. Um, so with that, let me know if you guys have any questions. Telephone book work also. Oh, yeah, that's an idea. The pages, right? The real thin paper. I wonder, yeah, I just wonder if my paper is the right one, because let me show you. And it comes on a huge pad of the paper. Is like two by 3 or something like that. It's big. But this is basically what I did. I cut out an oval shape to go over a tray that I did from GR Pottery Forms. Anyways, like this. But you see how, I know you guys can't see that, but to me it's a little bit thick. But it does say newsprint on it, so it must be the right thing, unless there is a thinner, paper. Anyways, I kind of like this technique. And like I said, this is just a tester. This was the other tester I did. I think I like this one better. And the more, with anything, the more you do it, the better you get at something. So now, just gonna move these out of the way here. So I know it's kind of the area that I have here, you guys are seeing that on the vertical, may not be able to see everything. I'm trying to make it so that you can see, maybe like this. I just wanted you to see the shape that I did. So I just did a slab this morning with my, remember I don't know if you guys saw my video from last week where you can do different trays using any shape you want. And I mentioned that I own one GR pottery form. This is it. And so what I did is I went like this and I cut it a little bigger and I made all these scalloped edges. And once I'm done putting my design here, I really have to go around the edges to make sure that these won't crack, because as you know, anytime you have a place that comes to a V, that is like a stress point in the clay, and you should try to make it rounded, just that corner right there. So I'll do that when I'm sponging around, but that's all I did. And then hopefully it will work out. Once it dries, the slip, I can push this down and create my tray using that. Um, and so this is my design. It's a quick design I was doing this morning. I thought I was gonna have time to finish it, but I ran out of time and I wanted to show you anyways how I did it. So um, I have two sets of underglazes. One is the new Kiwi glazes that I'm testing, and I'm going to fire a bunch of things this week, so you guys will see the results. I haven't seen the results yet because I haven't fired anything. Hi, Angela. So I keep my underglazes here, and I'll put a link of this thing too. I just bought it from Amazon, where I keep my underglazes. What I liked about this is that it has that silicone top, and it seals, the glazes, they stay moist. I don't know for how long because these are pretty new, but so far they haven't dried up. You can always spray a little water and cover, but it works pretty well. And let me see if you guys can still, if I'm still on focus here. Yeah, I am. Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep it here. Also, I found these nice watercolor brushes. It's a whole set. It's actually not a real expensive one. It's a pretty inexpensive whole set. And I've been using these to paint. So now here is what I wanted to talk about. I went ahead and did the outline first because remember, you have to think of reverse order. So you put what you want to see first on your design. So usually your outlines. If you use a stencil, you can put the stencil first, use the underglaze, and then lift the stencil. You'll be left with the lines, and then you can paint over once your lines are dry. And so some of the benefits of doing this on a paper is one, it's easier to do it on a flat piece than on a round or on a curved. You can do this for mugs and different things, so it's easier to do it flat. Another thing is you can make a design, paint it with underglazes. The underglaze has to be completely dry before you put your slip on top of this. So a lot of people, what they do is they make several designs and they keep these. So let's say if you don't want to work with clay one day, you just want to design. So that's okay. That's all you're going to do is do your underglaze. So you almost like making decals in a way. And then when is the day that you feel like doing it, then you can do the other part, which is putting the slip. Um, Another thing is because you are working from the foreground all the way to the background, you can paint things over to make your background without worrying about, oh, this is going to show through there, and it won't because you're painting over. So let's say I want my background to be like the light blue, like that I made, this lip is a light blue color. So once I'm all done, I don't have to worry about, oh, I have to paint the background now, like if you would, if you were painting on a real piece. You're just going to paint everywhere on top. So that's a nice thing to add a background color for something. So there are so many things you can do with this. You can do blotches of color. What they call that kind of painting? It's the painting that I have on my mural where you do, let's say I made my leaf here. I can do like kind of like an organic, I think that's what it's called, is organic design or something like that, where you make like a blotches of colors. So I can put another color on here, kind of just a odd shape thing. And then you can do another one here. And then you can do your whole background again. So you can do a lot of different things in an easy way to do it. So here, I like using these long brushes for the line work. And I'll show you why. So this is part of that set. And here I'm just painting. Let's see. My line is with, what color is this? It's like a marine blue, I think it's called, from Kiwi. Ocean blue, which is almost like a navy blue. And what I like about this, let me show you, can be too thick. What I like about these Kiwi glazes so far that I found is that they're very highly pigmented and they're more fluid, like thinner than the other underglazes that I'm used to. So you can make thin lines. I'm just making some lines here for the leaf. And then I'll show you something else that you can do with these long brushes. Usually I couldn't do that with my other underglazes because they were so thick. Um, then I can do something in here where it's kind of like a curvy line. And what's nice about it, you can make it thicker and thin, like by putting more pressure when you apply it. So I went a little thicker here. So what you do, you start thin and then you put more pressure and then lift it and then go thin and then put more pressure, go thicker again, and so on. So you make a design that has like lines, kind of like this leaf here. I don't know if you can see it. So what that does is gives an impression that the leaf has some folds. That's the idea behind that. So, and then I'm just gonna go, because this design, since I'm adding a lot of detail, if you're gonna test something, you can make just a simple flower or just a simple design. At first, that's what I did on that little tester here. I just did something simple just to see if it works. And like I said, it's just a matter of timing. If you time it right, it should work. So again, your underglaze design can be completely dry. So you can do your design, forget about it if you don't want to do it the same day, come back the next day and do it. Now, I think this paper here is a lot bigger than my tray, which is okay. You can, it's gonna cut off some of this, which I'm fine with. Um, so I think I'm done with my outline using the darker blue. So now another thing you need to think about, as you can see here, is if you want almost like watercolor, and make sure it's dry before you start painting over so that you won't smear. So what I've done here, I did some strokes of dark, almost like red coral, you know, and then some places I wanted to leave it more like a white mixed with pink. So I'm gonna mix just to have some areas that have some white in it. So you can just go with your brush. But this all is going to show up first. So it's a little harder to think that way, because if you go with one solid color and you want to put highlights or shadows after, it won't work because you just blocked your foreground. So it's all, everything is in reverse, okay? I know it took me a while to kind of think that way, but and then uh, right now I'm just adding some pink. So my inspiration for this drawing here, believe it or not, was from I was at TJ Maxx the other days and I saw, you know, I like tropical things. I saw a fabric that had these designs and I took a picture. I took a picture of it and I just freehanded these. So I modified a little bit. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do. I forgot to do the middle of this leaf right here. I'm gonna do it now, which it may or may not show because I have gone through some already, some of the middle, but that's okay. That should be the first thing you do is your outline, middle, any highlights you want to do for the leaves, like the veins of the leaves, you can do it now. Okay, so I think that's it. And so all I'm doing here is adding white, adding a little white there, mixing that with a little pink so it's not like completely white. Anyway, so that will be on the foreground. I'm going to do, let me see, what color should I use on this one? Maybe I'll do some purples on this one here. So again, this is my foreground, right? So I'm just doing something like that because I'm gonna come with a lighter color over. Oh, this was a little thick. On this one, I'm mixing some pink and purple, just doing the middle. You don't have to be as careful. Once you do your outline, it's fine if you go over, you know, the lines. You don't have to stay within the lines. Lisa, Angela, you're driving. Safe travels. Lisa said that's thick. What is thick? The underglaze or the paper? Let me know what you mean. If it is too thin because it's gonna be like translucent, you can go over again. And I might add a little bit of white. If your slip is white, you can leave without paint, and that's gonna be, you know, if you wanna do some highlights with white, like I'm using white underglaze, but you don't have to if your slip that you're gonna cover everything is gonna be white, you can just leave it some parts without any paint. Um, so now for this one, I'm gonna cover this whole thing here with a mixture of pink and white over. And because this is already painted, I can go over that and it won't matter because this one is already showing. So don't know if you guys get what I'm saying here. Once you start doing it, it kind of clicks on you, like you know. Again, like let's say if you just went over like that, it won't matter because your line is already showing on the foreground. So this now is the second layer we're doing over. Let's see. So now, trying to think what I could do with, I think I'll do the same thing here. Put some pink and white in here. On this leaf, I did pink and orange on the other side. I'm kind of following what I saw on the fabric. It was it was like that. It had like one side green, one side had orange, and so I'm kind of following that because I liked being all crazy like that. As you guys know, usually I'm not like that. I try to be loose sometimes with my paintings, and it's it's hard for me because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, which can be bad sometimes. So you see how that now is becoming more opaque. You can go over your lines, it won't matter. Oh, the paper. Yeah, the paper is thick, which I think I should go to like Michael's or one of those art supply store and see if I can find a newsprint that is a um, little thinner than what I have. I am gonna use, let's see what happens here. I'm putting some blue in here. So now that I have the purple here, I'm adding some blue. Some blue and white. So you see, you can cover everything with one color, and what's really gonna show is the purple first. Maybe that might be a better explanation. Like that you saw the purple is gone now. The only thing you try to go in the same direction of the leaf. And then, like I said, if you wanted something, another color, the color of your background, just leave it without painting. And that's gonna become your, like your highlights. So I mixed this amount here. What I did is I doubled the amount that it says. So it's 200 grams. You know how when you see a recipe, it ends up being 100 percent. That's the percentage, but you can convert that to grams, and that would be 100 grams. So let's say I had like 50 nephsi, 20 ball clay, and so it goes on like that. So I just doubled. So when it was 50, I made 100 and so on. So now I ended up with 200 grams, which is quite a bit. So if you wanted to follow that recipe and make something like this amount. It didn't really take that much to make 200 grams, and I think I can make quite a few pieces with this. And you can color, so you can color your slip um, if you want it, if you don't want to use underglazes. So I just have one more right here. I'm gonna do that with the lime green, maybe dark green and lime green at the same time, kind of blending. I was trying to make kind of like fall leaves where they start turning color. So I start going from a dark green to a lime green and then use a little bit of orange. Um, so I can still do that. Put a little orange there, little orange here, and then go with the lime green. The smaller designs are kind of hard to show, like the leaves. And if you're gonna blend in the color, you do it on the, you know, on the first layer. And then you're gonna repeat if you wanna darken that layer or make it instead of translucent, you can just keep adding. Right now it looks a little bit translucent to me. Um, I'll put a little yellow here. So, so this will dry. I think I'm done with this for now. This is the only one. It's drying pretty quickly. So let me use my, where did I put it? I have to be careful with this heat gun because it is paper. Just on the one that I just painted. The other ones are pretty dry. Lisa said, look for 30-pound paper. Okay. Is that what you think they use um, for this technique? See how it's getting like whitish. So that's when you know it's dry. And so the next step will be using the slip. So it's pretty dry and the paper start getting kind of wavy like that. Um, so that's what I was saying. If you wanted to just keep going as you're painting, just cut more pieces, paint. You can just do that and not worry about even putting the slip. Now, when you're ready to transfer, then you can come in and let's do this. I I added a little tab here. When I cut this oval, I did that on purpose just to give me a place to kind of hold it right here. Let's see if this will be enough. You see how it looks almost like a gray blue right now, but I think it's gonna turn out to be like almost like a baby blue. So I'm gonna cover everything. Trying to go really to make it nice and smooth. Yesterday when I tried, I used another brush that left like kind of grooves, as I was putting the slip. So make sure you use a real soft brush. Even though that one was also a glaze brush, but for some reason it was harder than this one. This one I can tell it's leaving like a real smooth texture. And from what I've seen, people doing this technique is whenever the time that you flip it over your slab is whenever you don't see any more of the sheen, like the wet sheen that you see right now. So that has to go away before I decide to put it over the clay, put it over my slab. So I'm applying a thick enough coat that I don't think I need a second one. If your slip is too thin, then you might consider putting another thin layer. Just smoothing it out right now. See if I can make this stretch. Trying to go as light as I can with the brush here, so that's it. I hope this will work. So I'm gonna cover this. I'm in love with this. My little tray. It comes too, by the way, on a pack, and it didn't cost that much. I am gonna use my heat gun again, just to go a little quicker. You guys can let me know if you have any comments, questions. I wasn't gonna try to do it today because I know this part is very boring. But if you guys want to stick around to see how that works, because I don't even know if it's gonna work. The other one worked, so it should. Just a bigger design. So you got one the same as that, the one that I have. I thought it was the coolest thing that you put the. I think it's for watercolor, but it works well for underglazes. So this is drying quicker than I thought. So it's almost dry enough. Let's see. This heat gun kind of works wonders, doesn't it? When you want something to dry quick. Yeah. Okay. So the moment of truth. Let's see. I'm going to bring my tray closer. My slab. I really didn't have time this morning to kind of finesse, the edges. I can do that later for this purpose here. Let me see. It is still a little sticky. Maybe I will sponge just a little bit quickly here without making it too wet. Okay. They say it has to be wet enough, but not sticky. Let's see. It's just a little sticky. Sorry, my rambling. Uh, it's kind of fun trying different things. That's how I am. I know that I do a few techniques that I'm always gonna do, which is the sculpting, adding 3D stuff, and painting the cuerda seca, and also painting with underglazes. But I'm always like curious to try different techniques. I don't know if you guys are like that too, because in pottery, as you know, there are so many different techniques that I think a lifetime won't even, we won't be able to do all the techniques that there are out there. Okay, so let's see if this is gonna work. I'm gonna spray a little bit. Just spraying a little bit of water here to stretch, to be able to stretch here. My rib. Yeah, I got a little crease here. That's okay. I have to tell myself that it's okay not to be perfect. So this, I can tell the parts that dry too fast, like right there. You just add some water. If you see that there are some areas that are not as, as wet as others. So you just sponge. Also here at the edge, where you was drying quicker than the rest. Let's see. So, any of you guys do this technique? You can tell me if I'm doing it right. um, Again, I see people using a roller. Some people say the best way is using the rib. Piece of clay here. And you can see when there is like an air bubble in there, you try to remove that. So I've also found another girl that does this technique, but she throws her pieces, I believe, on the wheel, and then she adds some grooves to the whole piece. I don't know what she uses, but you can use anything to apply to create some texture. And then when she puts her transfer, the transfer doesn't get into the grooves and gives that real rustic effect. I guess that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, this one is gonna need more work. Let's try the roller. It's funny how you see something and you can just use your rib and it glues back in there. I'm gonna leave these little pieces that, doesn't quite stick. I think I'm gonna leave it. So yeah, I'm gonna try the thinner paper because maybe that could be also what's causing it not to release as well, you know. Right at the edge there. Yeah. Yep. So you see, most of it uh, got released. So very colorful. I'm happy with that. Um, if you see any little piece that is kind of raised where you lift it like in there, you just kind of dab. And again, if that bothers you, you can just paint a little bit of slip on these areas here. I'm gonna leave it like that. Um, and then I'm going to try to, still a little bit too wet, but you can go around and cut with the rib, remove all these excess that went around. I mean, that it's went beyond my cut here, my shape. I can wait to finish this piece and see how it's gonna look. I'm gonna use HF9, which is zinc-free Amaco clear. That's what I usually use. If you're using, if you're gonna try with the low fire, there is Duncan Brilliance, I think. Which is, I think that might be what Katie Miller uses. I'm not sure. Um, but I almost made this lip that she uses, but then I saw that it goes only to a cone 1, and I wanted something that it's a cone 5. So I found it. It seems to work well, but we will find out soon once I fire. So I have to keep my fingers crossed that this will work. I made 2 mugs to try. So the cylinder is very straight, so I can wrap, the design around it easily. Um, so I might make a video of that to show you guys. But you see now the design, how, it has the strokes that I did before, and then the lighter ones on the background. So that's how it works. So, and then hopefully once this dries a little more, I can press it and make my little tray. So uh, a lot of work. Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that the more you do it, um, the easier it gets. But um, anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next Saturday. Thanks for being here. Bye bye.